let me ask you something. What if all that stress you feel about money, that student loan, that credit card bill, what if it wasn't just a number on a page? What if it had a face, a personality? What if it was a character that literally followed you around all day? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. This is a story about the living weight of debt. It's about how financial pressure can become so incredibly intense, so overwhelming that it starts to feel, well, alive. All right, so let's meet our main character. His name is Bhaskara, and he's a sharp mechanical engineering student from a small city. And believe me, this is a young man with big dreams and a serious plan for his life. And his goal? Well, it's probably something a lot of us can relate to. He wants to get a college education, to build a better future for himself and his family. It's a powerful dream, and it's the thing that really kicks off his entire journey. But as you know, a dream like that doesn't come cheap, right? It wasn't just about the tuition. His family was dealing with a ton of financial pressure. You've got the college fees, a big study loan, and that's not even counting the everyday stuff, the bus fare, food, just the basic cost of living. To make it all work, they had to take out loans from banks, from other lenders, and suddenly this whole web of debt just became his new reality. Okay, so this is where the story gets really, really interesting. All of that constant pressure, it started to mess with how Bhaskara saw things. He started to feel like he wasn't alone anymore. He had, well, let's call them his unseen companions. His mind did this wild thing. Instead of seeing these loans as just, financial agreements, he started to give them personalities. Seriously. These abstract numbers on a paper morphed into living, breathing characters that were with him all the time. So who were these guys? Let's meet the crew. First up, the education loan. Picture this big, shadowy figure that just appears whenever tuition is due. Then you've got the home loan, this heavy, massive presence just standing there, waiting. The bike loan was different, more like a metallic creature. Sure, it gave him freedom, but it always showed up to demand its price. And finally, the personal loan. This one was a needy little character, always popping up for daily expenses. I mean, can you imagine sharing your life with that crew day in and day out? It's completely exhausting. And for Bhaskara, this psychological weight started to feel incredibly physically real. The burden was just getting to be too much. Some days, it was like they were literally sitting right on his head. It wasn't just stress anymore. It was this thick mental fog that made it almost impossible to study or even think straight. Other times, the weight would just settle on his shoulders. And we've all felt that, right? That heavy, crushing sense of responsibility, that constant pressure that just wears you down until you're completely exhausted. And then it got even worse. These debt monsters weren't just a weight anymore. They started holding him back. He felt them physically gripping his legs, making it impossible to take a step, to make any progress, to move forward in his own life. He was completely stuck. But you know how it is. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can find a way up. And for Bhaskara, trapped under all this weight, in his darkest moment, something clicked. A powerful realization was about to change everything. He suddenly had this crystal clear thought. These things, these monsters, they aren't real people. They're just something his own mind cooked up because of the stress from the loans. He realized he was the one who had created them. He was the one giving them all their power. And that wasn't all. He also figured out what was feeding these monsters. It wasn't just the debt itself. A huge part of the pressure was coming from trying to keep up, comparing his life to others, trying to live up to some kind of social status. That was the fuel for the fire. So, once you have a realization like that, what do you do? Well, for Bhaskara, it was a total game changer. It was time to stop being a victim. It was time to fight back and break the chains he had let them put on him. He made a conscious choice. He decided to evict these unwelcome guests from his head, to, as he put it, shell out all these non-living things. He started to see them for what they really were, not monsters, just financial tools. And that's the whole key right there. It's a total shift in perspective. Think about it. He went from seeing debt as a living monster that controlled his life to seeing it as a non-living tool that he can manage. The problem was still there, but his relationship with it completely transformed. Now, let's be super clear about this. This wasn't some magic trick where the loans just vanished. No way. The financial responsibilities were still very real. But the prison, the psychological one he had built for himself, that was gone.
For the first time in a long time, in his own mind, he was free. He could breathe, he could think, he could move forward.
So, yeah, Bhaskar's story is about financial debt, but it's really about so much more, isn't it? And it kind of makes you think, what invisible weights, what artificial monsters might you be carrying around? And what would it take for you to finally see them for what they really are?